What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we have just found out a whole bunch of very good news about the One Piece trading card game. We've got a whole bunch of information, a whole bunch of cool stuff, and yeah, this is worth getting very excited about. So starting off then, what we've got is, weirdly, and this seemed a bit early, but no complaints from me, news about the second set. Which is, of course, kind of weird. The first set isn't even out in Japan until the end of July. July the 22nd is when it's actually due to be released. And yet, we've already got news about the second set. And even though the first 4 starter decks aren't out yet, we've got news of starter deck number 6. Remember, there's a movie one which is coming after the first 4. So what we've got here is a bunch of information. The 6th starter deck, Navy, is going to be released on September the 30th. Now, this is actually a relevant date, because remember, that is the date that the super pre-releases are going to be held in the UK and US, Europe, etc. So that's kind of awesome. Well, awesome for Japan, but it's kind of nice, you know, they get their new starter deck on the same day that we get our super pre-release. I don't know, that just seems nice. Like, everyone who's into the One Piece TCG's got something to celebrate that day. That seems nice. We've not seen any real information about it other than the release date. What is interesting is that it costs 990 yen, which is in line with the first 4 starter decks. Remember, the starter deck 5 is the movie tie-in starter deck, and that is actually going to be a cheaper starter deck. That one's only going to be 550 yen. So that one is going to be a real budget one. That's not the case here. Starter Deck 5 is a budget one being released on its own on August the 6th. This one is coming on September the 30th. So we've got 4 starter decks coming at the beginning of July, and then we've got one coming at the beginning of August, and then we've got another one coming at the end of September. These are coming thick and fast. And as I've told you in the past, what is interesting is that Bandai really seem to be closely following what they've done with Digimon. So what that means is we should get all the starter decks, and it certainly looks like this for the first 4, and they should be exactly the same as they are over in Japan, and we should get them at vaguely regular intervals. So if we're getting our starter decks in December, and they're released in Japan in July, then this one coming in September should be coming somewhere around February, maybe a little bit later. We've also had news of the second set, OPO2, and that is going to be called Crest Battle and is going to be released on the 28th of October. We've got some information there in terms of just a picture, and if you're familiar with One Piece, maybe that's going to give you some hints. I did, when I googled it, find a bunch of Crest Battle figures, for what that's worth. My point is, if you know more about One Piece, maybe you will be able to get some extra information out of here. But this actually gives us a little bit of a cadence. The first set we know is going to be coming out towards the end of July on the 22nd, and then the second set is coming out on the 28th of October. That's 3 months later, which is very relevant, because basically it means we should be expecting a set roughly once every 3 months, which is about right. Although, let's be perfectly clear right off the bat, 2 sets is not enough to actually sit down and start trying to divine some kind of pattern. 3 months is a standard thing for TCGs, that roughly that's how long they should take. Although Japan does sometimes have smaller sets, so they end up being a bit more regular. Let's not go over the top with this. Maybe it means every 3 months, maybe it doesn't. Let's hold our horses just a little bit on that one. You know what we shouldn't hold our horses on? These cards, which are already guaranteed to be ridiculously expensive. Yeah, you see, what Japan are doing, and as it stands at the moment, this is just a Japanese thing, is they are doing some tournaments, and there are going to be limited edition, numbered promos distributed at these tournaments. And we can already see that the Luffy on the screen is 1 out of 300. Now, there might be other cards. So it might not be that there are exactly 300. There might be 300 Luffy and 300 Kaido, etc. So it may well be that there's 1,200 in total. You know, there's 4 different ones and there's 300 of each. I don't know, is the honest answer. they haven't actually told us much at all. What they've told us is that a limited number of limited edition promo cards with serial numbers will be distributed as tournament souvenirs. Details will be announced at a later date. Remember, when we've got the super pre-release, everyone who turns up is getting a promo card. We've been told that that is a thing. We don't know what the promo card is. I'm not telling you that this is the promo card. I am just telling you that it could be. Of course, there is another explanation. This is clearly and obviously an alternate art version of the Luffy from the starter deck. And let's not forget that at those super pre-releases, you are going to be getting limited edition decks with alternate arts of the leaders with the first edition stamp. I mean, come on guys, put it together. Japan's getting these alternate arts numbered versions, and we have got definitely an alternate art of this Luffy, as well as the other three leaders, that are going to be coming at the super pre-release. Does anybody think it's a huge stretch to suggest that Japan might be getting the 4 alternate arts as numbered cards to give away at tournaments, and we might be getting these 4 cards with first edition stamps given out in the starter decks at the super pre-release? That seems very sensible to me. Again, we only know that Japan's getting Luffy. That's the only card we've been told about. But we know for a fact that an alternate art of this exact card is going to be given out at the super pre-release in the Luffy deck. It would be weird if it wasn't this one. That's my prediction, and it is nothing more than a prediction. We don't know it for certain, but it makes perfect sense that this is the alternate art of Luffy that's going to be in our super pre-release deck. And then that would also make sense that Japan wouldn't just be getting one of these cards that's limited. They would be getting 4, 1 for each leader. That's my prediction. We'll have to wait to see how they shake out. Also, please remember that with Digimon, no matter how weird and obscure the promos are, Bandai have done a great job making sure they're available over here. So if you ever see some Japanese promo, no matter how it's being given out for the One Piece TCG, assume that Bandai are going to find a way to bring it out over here, because they almost certainly are. So we've got news of a new starter deck, news of the second set, and incidentally, one thing we can see from all the news I'm showing you here today, Bandai are taking this game seriously. They're not dipping their toes in the water, deliberate pun. What they're actually doing is they are properly launching a new card game. They are not going at this timidly. They are really going for a proper launch of a big new card game that they expect to stick around, and I am here for it. Plus, it's launching like on my birthday. What am I supposed to do? Ignore it? No, definitely not. Now, I told you there are 4 starter decks coming, and there are, but I've only shown you 2 of the leaders so far. The good news is that they've gone and shown off the other 2 leaders today. So, translations once again from the lovely Rust Marrow over on Twitter. Seriously, whoever Rust Marrow is, they are an absolute hero for translating all of these cards so people outside of Japan, or people who don't speak the language, I suppose is more accurate to say, can join in with the hype. You are awesome. Now, what is interesting is both of these, as it stands, are 5,000 power and 5 life. Remember, in the rules of the One Piece card game, we are specifically told not that you put down 5 life at the beginning of the game, but you put down a number of life equal to your leader's life value. Now, as it is, all 4 of the starter decks have an even spread amongst the leaders. They're all 5 health, or 5 life. They're all 5,000 power. But we know for a fact, due to listings over in Japan, that there are going to be 8 other leader cards coming in Romance Dawn, and that is essentially confirmed. We know that that's coming. What that means is that, okay, fine, yes, these 4 might all be very similar, but hang on a second, there's going to be 8 more leaders. They are going to start shaking things up when they come around. So, Eustace Kid, what we've got here is, like I say, 5,000 power, 5 life, and activate main once per turn, pay free, discard a card from your hand, and untap this leader. Remember, generally speaking, when you attack, you have to tap them or suspend them or call it what you will. We'll have to wait for the English rules to see what the actual phrase is. But here, if you're willing to pay free, and you're willing to discard a card from your hand, and it is any card, it is your choice, you can untap and get a second use. Might just be me, but that seems pretty good. One more reminder, as we always have to say at the moment, we've not seen many cards, we've not seen even the full unfiltered rules, so please do bear in mind that we cannot have a really good look at all of these cards yet, because we don't have the context. We then have a character card version of Eustace Kid, 7 cost, 7,000 power, and it's got blocker, just as a standard thing. Remember, not all cards have blocker. You're going to need some blockers in your deck. This is kind of cool. And Don X1. Remember, Don X1 means that you need to attach one Don in order to activate the effect. And what you've got here is, at the end of your turn, untap this character, which of course is very, very important because we do have a general rule that you can attack either the leader, and that's where you're going after the life to try and win the game, or you can go after a resting or tapped character. So by untapping at the end of the turn, that means that you're not going to be a valid target to be attacked, which is really good. But also this is a blocker, so by untapping at the end of your turn, what you can basically do is attack on your turn, and it's kind of like Reboot in the Digimon TCG, and I've long said that Reboot and Blocker is a fantastic combination. You attack on your turn, untap at the end of your turn, and then you're untapped and ready to block on your opponent's turn. This is a good combination of skills. Moving over to the blue starter deck, we've got Crocodile, and what we've got here as a leader is again 5,000 power and 5 life. Activate main, once per turn, Don -4. That is to say you've got to return 4 Don cards to your Don deck in order to activate it. Return up to 1 5-cost or lower character to its owner's hand. It's recovery, and we've not seen much recovery so far in the game. We've not seen many cards, but I do like the idea of being able to recover these cards. This seems pretty good, honestly. This seems alright to me. Then we've got ourselves a character version of Crocodile. You'll be seeing a theme at this stage. We've got 5 cost, 6,000 power. So far, the general seems to be having power 1,000 more than your cost. Although, to be fair, Eustace Kid didn't. And we've got blocker. Expect to have a blocker in all the starter decks. Blockers are important. If it's anything like Digimon, we would imagine that pretty much every deck will have some blockers in, because without blocker, you can let your opponent run rampant, which is not a good thing. And we got Don X1. Attach 1 Don to activate the effect. When you block, return up to 1 2-cost or lower character to the bottom of its owner's deck. So what we've got here very nicely is we've got recovery. And remember, unlike in Digimon, we've already seen a card that can shuffle your deck, which means that cards going to the bottom of your deck. In Digimon, you've often got to basically draw through your entire deck to access them, which is not easy. That is not going to be the case in One Piece. We've already seen cards that let you shuffle your deck. And if there's a lot more of that, it means that putting cards on the bottom of your deck basically means, hey, now look for an effect that shuffles your deck. Now that character is in there and ready to be gotten again. This is a good thing. So yay! Now we've seen all 4 leaders. And I'm going to be honest with you right off the bat, I'm leaning towards purple. And I don't really recognise purple as a colour due to my colour blindness, but the Hornet's playing purple, and my daughter's favourite colour is purple, and I'm liking the Kaido cards I'm seeing, so I'll be honest with you, I could see myself being a purple player in One Piece. I could see it happening. Now, we have also been shown the full deck list for both the Kaido deck and the Luffy deck. We're not going to spend a huge amount of time on these, and the reason is extremely simple. We don't have clear scans with translations for all of these cards. When we do, I will bring you one video on each of the 4 starter decks where we sit down and look at all of the cards in the deck and I show you and tell you everything you need to know. That's not where we are right now, but we can at least have a look, and if you're familiar with One Piece, you can see which characters are in the deck, etc. One thing which is important to note, we do see a number of vanilla characters. So we can see 3 of them there in the Luffy deck, and you'll notice that they tend to be on the cheaper side, and they've all got counter. Now, the non-vanilla, some have counter, some don't. But you'll notice all the vanilla characters tend to have counter. I don't think that's a coincidence. Similarly, if we have a look at the Kaido deck here, you can see a very similar thing. We again have some vanilla characters in here, and all the vanilla characters do have counter as well. So yeah, this is something I think is worth getting a little bit excited about. When we have a better look at all of the cards and translations, I will of course show them to you, but I think we've got enough to mull on in this particular video. Those winners cards look amazing, and again, I believe that they are going to be in our super pre-release decks, but instead of being serial numbered, they're going to be first edition stamped. Can't prove it, but I've shown you my reasoning. We've got news on the 6th starter deck and the 2nd main set, which even if you think it's a bit far out for now, just take away from that, the Bandai are clearly running full speed with this and taking it extremely seriously. And then we've got ourselves the last 2 leaders that we hadn't looked at before, and an example of starter decks. And actually, I can't finish this video without pointing out again, clearly it is 4 cards in a playset, because look at the decks. And also you will notice, just like we saw with Digimon, I can't believe I almost got through this video without mentioning it, there are a bunch of 2-ofs in these decks. Now obviously the 1-of leader is fine, but if you have a look at the Luffy deck here, we've got 7 cards that come as 2-ofs. And if we have a look at the Kaido deck here, we have again got 7 cards that come as 2-ofs, and I'd imagine that it would be the same in the other 2. So what that tells us is, just like in Digimon, and again, they are really following the model here, you are going to need 2 of each starter deck in order to have play sets of everything. So when you're setting aside your budget for the game, if you do want everything, budget for 2 of each starter deck. So there we go. I said this was huge news, and I wasn't lying. There is a lot going on today. Hopefully now you're nice and up to speed. But I want to know everything you want to tell me, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk One Piece and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.